Hello, boys. I hope you're doing well. I am here to learn some more letters with you. Last time we did Resh and Vav, and we're going to learn another letter in that family, a Chaf Sofit. We're also going to do a Yud, which although it looks like it's very small and very simple, it's not so very small and very simple. We'll do the Chaf Sofit first, which is a little easier. The Chaf Sofit really is just like the Vav and the Resh, in that it's a two-step process. You make your Kav Haskalah and start to drag back. How many Koma Swifts? That's right, 3. And then you drag straight into going down. That's your second stroke. And like I said, you're going with the width of the Kolmas across, and then you drag into the point. And you use the point for the very end to make it a little sharper than I've made it over here. That's because these bleed a little bit. It's hard to make it very sharp on these. With a kolmas, like I mentioned, it'll be easier. So how big is the Chaf Sofit going down? So as you know, we've made this little staircase to show you how large your sirtut really is. The lines here are called the sirtut. So how many kolmas widths are between each sirtut? So you want your kolmas to have 6 of them between the top line and the bottom line. So if you're actually writing a Megillah, a Sefer Torah, whatever it is you're writing, you will cut your kolmas to make sure that it's the right length, so really right width to be able to write within the lines that you have. When I made these sample sheets, I did just that. I measured how wide it was to be able to get 6 in, and I drew these lines, right, to be able to make sure I had 6. So take a look right over here. Come in close with the camera. You've got this shows you the boxes. Each box is a kolmas width. And you see you have 1, 2, 3 across for the Chaf Sofit. How many down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6. So it'd be almost all the way down. So if you actually were making a Chaf Sofit, I'll make one really quickly over here. This sefer, by the way, is the Pe'er Halacha. The Pe'er Halacha is a great sefer on the Mishnah Berurah, and it goes through and it gives you pictures. And when we learn a little bit more in depth the actual halachos of all of the letters, as you'll see back in the back over here, this goes letter for letter. There's our Chaf Sofit that we're working on tonight. We'll talk about what could be a psul, what would make it invalid, and what it needs to look like to be kosher. Right? We're saying shalot tedan al reish, shouldn't look like a reish. It's got to be big enough. Right, and we'll go through these halachos later on in the year. First, we're learning how to write them with a little halacha mixed in. All right, so if we wanted to do a Chaf Sofit, let's make it just like a reish. So, Kav Haskalah, right here. 1, 2, 3. Down into it. Now, I pulled back a little bit this direction just because that's the way my hand took me. It does not have to be curved in like that. It can be straight down. And then you want it to come to a little bit more of a point than I made it. That says roch. Okay, fine. So that's your Chaf Sofit. Now, let's talk a little bit about a Yud. A Yud is even more challenging than a Chaf Sofit. A Yud really has a few things that you've got to have. You make a Kav Haskalah, and this Kav Haskalah starts above the sirtut. You know how we've made different kotsim, different thorns off the top, and different tagin off the top. This part off the top is above the sirtut line. The sirtut line is right here, the top of the yod. So this is going to be, that Kav Haskalah is going to be above. So if I was going to do that over here, this Kav Haskalah is above the sirtut, as you see. The other thing is there's a little coats on the bottom. It's got a taller coats on top and a little coats on the bottom here, and it also comes to a coats to a point over here. So let's talk about how big this really needs to be as well. And again, I want to use the Pe'er Halacha to illustrate that. Because Yud is very small. Here he is over here. It's 1 kolmitz width across and about 1 almost 2, so 1 3/4 down. Right? 1 across, 1 3/4 down. Here's your coats on the top. There's your coats on the bottom. Now, some people have a Masorah, and I'm going to be included in that Masorah, in that the top coats of a Yud is not only a coats, but it's even a tag. Now, not everybody does that. That is one Masorah and how to do Ksav Beis Yosef. So this, for me, is actually going to be a tag. So I'm going to make my little taggy ball on the top of it because I actually do a tag. On these sheets, you're not going to see a tag. You're not going to see a tag in many places unless you actually learned from a Sofer, and that was their Masorah, which seems like it's not the most widespread Masorah. So I made my Kav Haskalah, and I'm going to drag one Kolmas width this way and pull down into this coats. And there's my yod. Not the best yod ever, but that's how it would look. In fact, I may even make you a different sheet than this because I'm not as happy. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I'm not as happy with how these came out. I'd like to make this Chaf Sofit not coming back as far. I don't like it coming back as far as it is. And this yod, yod's okay actually. The yod's okay. Got a nice tag, got a coats on the bottom. That's our yod. And it comes down about, whoops, good thing I didn't drop it on there. About 1 and about 2 kolmasim. So it's even a little bit big, but with these markers, sometimes it's a little bit big. Alrighty, I will give these to you tomorrow, B'ezras Hashem. Have a good night. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.